Hi, it's layperson Lisa with a reflection on the readings for the Solemnity of the Epiphany. And so today we hear the manifestation of Jesus to the world, which is what Epiphany is, manifestation. And so in the gospel, we hear about fear. We hear about the worldly fear that Herod has. He hears that the king of the Jews, that the Magi are looking for the king of the Jews, and he's fearful that he will be replaced as king. He has a fear of losing his power. He has a fear of not being the king, the one in charge, the ruler, the one that people look up to and have to obey. He has this fear that he could lose this because the Magi are looking for a king of the Jews, and Herod, he sees himself as a king of the Jews. And so what does Herod do? Because he's so envious, he wants to destroy this king, this new king. And so he asks the Magi to, hey, when you find him, let me know, because I want to honor him too. So that the Magi are following the star, this supernatural sign of light and hope that they just feel drawn to follow. And when it stops, they go into the place where Jesus, Joseph, and Mary are, and they pay homage to Jesus. They lay prostrate because they have fear of the Lord in their hearts. This gift of the Holy Spirit that we receive at our baptism. And then this fear of the Lord, this awe and reverence that the Magi have for not only the King of the Jews, but the King of the universe, it causes them, or gives them the desire to be generous, to share their gifts with him. And that's what God calls us to do, to share the gifts that he has given us with others, so that that gift may be returned back to him. That everything that we have is not ours, but it is his. And he gives us these gifts to share, to give on to others. And their fear, the fear of the Lord, also causes them to be obedient. So the Magi are really demonstrating what it means to have fear of the Lord. Not only are they showing this awe and reverence, but they're showing this generosity, and they're showing this obedience. They obey the dream that they get when it says, they're told, don't go back through Jerusalem and tell Herod what you have seen, but go a different way back home. And so they obey that. And we have this same gift, this gift of fear of the Lord. And we can strengthen it. We can't keep it boxed in. We have to strengthen it. And to do that, we talked about this for the Solemnity of Mary. We have to raise our hearts and our minds and our souls up to him in prayer, not just reciting prayers, but to lift our heart and minds to him each day, and doing this in silence. Yes, there are some great apps and podcasts, and yes, song, worship. I love worship music, and those are all wonderful things. But to actually spend time in silence and pay him the homage, to lay prostrate to him in our hearts, to ask him for this strengthening of obedience to him, so that we may be emptied of ourselves. A few weeks ago, somebody asked me what obedience is to me. And I said, emptying me of me so I'm not so full of me. So that I'm not so full of my selfish ways. So I am just empty so that God can just fill me. And I can just be his vessel. I can be a gift of self instead of selfish. To not look inward, Because when I look inward, that's where I get in my head and I can like think of all these negative things instead of like giving praise to God for the beauty that he creates, for the just all the gifts that he bestows upon me, and that I'm called to return back to him. And so being obedient is being a gift of self, doing what God calls us to do. And that's another way to strengthen this gift of not only fear of the Lord, but all the other gifts of the Holy Spirit, is to when he calls us to do something, when he puts something on our heart, to say yes to it, to not come up with 1,000 excuses like, I'm too busy right now, I don't have the time, I have to fix this first. Like, we're always going to be able to come up with excuses, but just to say yes. Give me the strength and the wisdom to do what your will is for me, to be a gift of self, to just like to be generous with ourselves and what he calls us to do. And so this week, I encourage you to continue to commit to make time in silence, to lift your hearts and minds up to God each day and ask him for a strengthening of the gift of fear of the Lord, so that the awe and reverence that you have for him just becomes such a desire in your heart that it helps strengthen obedience to him and generosity in being a gift of self.